who dress up and look the part? Did you hear the subtle reference to the poor witness of the church throughout the history of this nation? They were wrong when it came to slavery. They were wrong when it came to other things, using the Bible. So if they've been wrong about all of these things, might they be wrong about same-sex marriage? Should the church embrace? I'm not talking about whether we should love the people. We ought to love everybody. We ought to want everybody to know Jesus and the pardoning of their sin. But don't you listen to the subtleties of Satan in saying that you can have Jesus for yourself, but don't condemn other folk to hell who come another way. And we laugh at the humor. And laughing at the humor causes us to be distracted from the deadly theology. In our text, verse 20 says that meanwhile the leading priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas to be released and for Jesus to be put to death. So now the religious leaders are working the crowd. Governor, trying to get out of this situation, asked again, which of these two do you want me to release to you? The crowd shouted back, Barabbas. Pilate responded, then what should I do with Jesus, who is called the Messiah? The same crowd earlier, save us, save now, says on this day, crucify him. Why? Well, he's not what we are looking for in a Messiah. That's really why. Barabbas represents everything we're looking for in a leader. He's willing to die for our cause. The church was never established to be a partisan participant in the troubles of this world. Did you hear me? The church is not to identify as Democratic or Republican. The church is supposed to be countercultural. We're supposed to live to heavenly standards while we are here on earth. The Bible clearly says that we are citizens of God's kingdom. Where is God's kingdom? Well, God's kingdom right now resides in your heart. And it is in your heart that God is to rule. But these folk didn't want that. They didn't want to live in a kingdom where there were some demands made of them. They wanted to be a part of a kingdom where they could do all of the demanding. And so So when Pilate demanded what crime had he committed, instead of dialoguing, text says the mob roared even louder, "Crucify him." Pilate recognized that what he feared most was about to happen. He could see a riot about to take place. And because he wanted to keep his position of authority and power, his political status, he was willing to do anything to maintain his position. So Pilate sent for a bowl of water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying, I'm innocent of this man's blood. No, he wasn't. Pilate was guilty because Pilate wanted to remain governor rather than keep Jesus from suffering a punishment that he didn't deserve. Pilate was looking out for Pilate, even though he deceived himself into believing that he was innocent of the decision that had been made when he had all the authority to make the final decision. He said, the responsibility is yours. And all the people yelled back, we will take responsibility for his death, we and our children. And that's true today. So Pilate released Barabbas to them, and he ordered Jesus flogged with a lead-tipped whip. Then turned him over to the Roman soldiers to be crucified. Let me say this as I get ready to take my seat. The people's desire to be in a position of power provided them with a natural affinity with Barabbas, who had shown a willingness to fight and even die for their selfish desires and thirst for power. What Jesus required of them and us would require a transformation of our spiritual nature. A requirement that was unequivocally rejected by the spiritual leaders of his day.